What's up YouTube? Capital G here. Got a quick discussion for you guys, and I'm asking the question in this video: do you guys think Konami should consider adjusting the forbidden and limited list based on the new rules that we're going to get when Code of the Duelist drops in the TCG? When we enter the Vrains era, when the new starter deck comes out, do you guys think Konami should take a look at the ban list and think, are there some cards on here that are going to get seriously nerfed because of all the rules and the regulations that we're putting? Maybe we should think about, putting these cards back at legal status. And we actually talked about this in the Skype call with all the YouTubers like last Saturday, and I couldn't honestly think of any right then and there, but as I kind of thought a little bit more, there are two cards that definitely popped into my mind, especially since Konami made the ruling where basically like the improperly summoned monsters still get summoned to the extra monster zone. And the two cards that I thought about were Cyber-Stein and Magical Scientist. Now you guys should know that Cyber-Stein is already legal in the OCG, so if you think like Cyber-Stein is way too crazy, there's no way in hell it could ever come back, like, it's legal in the OCG, and I believe the only deck that really ran it was Metaphors. It makes like actually a lot of sense in Metaphors because you can use Cyber-Stein's effect, you can bring out, I guess, like Naturia Exterio, and then you can blow up your Cyber-Stein so that your opponent doesn't, ram something into it like a Utopia the Lightning and just insta kill you. But some of you might not know the history behind these cards. In fact, God, like, Magical Scientist has been banned so long, I barely even remember playing this card. I felt like the last time that I played this card I was like a teenager, and this was on like YVD. This card has been banned for a good maybe 12 years, something like that. It's been banned for a very long time, and it's basically, actually, I can kind of describe both of these cards and why they're banned with a very similar, I guess, explanation. Both of these cards are basically banned because they had like OTK, FTKs associated with them. Magical Scientist had its own FTK where you would use Catapult Turtle and you basically activate the effect of Scientist a whole bunch of times. You'd launch everything to Catapult Turtle, and then your opponent would take more burn damage than you, and they would end up taking 8,000. And it ran a bunch of weird stuff like Reasoning and Dark Magician of Chaos, and the way that you summon Catapult Turtle out of the deck was with Last Will, if I'm not mistaken. But Last Will is banned, so I'm not sure that like you wouldn't be able to pull off this FTK, especially considering if you don't have a Link monster, you can only activate Magical Scientist's effect once now. So that's something that has drastically nerfed this card. And then Cyber-Stein, this actually was a weird case where Cyber-Stein was kind of being splashed into like every deck during the GX era, because at any given time, if your opponent ever was like kind of slipping and they just like left their field open, you could just summon Cyber-Stein, pay your 5,000 light points, bring out like a Chimera, or excuse me, a Cyber and Dragon. And if you had limiter removal or like a Megamorph, the game was over. But even if you didn't have that, a lot of times you could just push for damage and just kill them. If you had like Premature Burial or Monster Reborn, like you usually had enough damage. So this the Cyber-Stein OTK, which was a pure build of Cyber-Stein, just like no backup plan. It's just either OTK or lose the game. It ended up winning a Shonen Jump Philly, and Cesar Gonzalez won the event. And like the second after that happened, Upper Deck ended up banning the card. It was the first emergency ban list ever. In fact, they didn't even consult Konami when they did it. It's kind of strange because Upper Deck was running the TCG and Konami was running the OCG. But anyways, like, if you look at these two cards, I can definitely see, like, if I tried to make an argument for Magical Scientist right now, I think that anybody could counter that argument pretty easily. I mean, yeah, it does take up your normal summon, but Magical Scientist right now, you would easily be able to say, all right, I'm going to pay 4,000 light points. I'm going to bring out 4 level 4 fusions. I'm going to make double Volcasaurus. I'm going to blow both of your monsters up, then, overlay for Gaias, and probably just end up killing you because that's a lot of damage. Or the fact that you could, like, make double Utopia the Lightning. Like, this card would just be a super, like, XC maker, and maybe even Cyber-Stein, you can make some arguments that this card is just a little too broken. But if you look at like the new rules and how much they're going to actually nerf these cards, like especially Magical Scientist, guys, like all of this card's power where you're able to, turn this card into like instant XCs on the field, like that's not possible anymore. If you use Magical Scientist's effect, that monster that you summon, whether it be a Dark Flare Knight, that's honestly the first thing that came to my mind, because that's what people used to use back in the day, like 2003, 2004 or whatever. Like that monster goes to the extra monster zone, and you can't really do anything with it. Like, I mean, I guess you could still exceed with it if you guys want to say, well, Cap, wouldn't it make like a rank 4? But I mean, if you like summon maybe like a level 4 fusion and then you already have another 4 and you go into like a rank 4 XC play, is that really that broken? Just like one rank 4? I mean, honestly, it kind of becomes a weaker version of Instant Fusion Norton, doesn't it, at that point? And it still takes up your normal summon, and This guy only has 300 attack. Even if your magical scientist survives, it's not like you can use it to affect next turn anyways, because your zone is still pretty much going to be full. I mean, I guess there could be some plays with like link summoning, but most of the good ones seem to require like 3 monsters. So I'm looking at magic scientist and I'm like, I don't think that you're broken just because of the new rules. Like, there is no more potential for you to like be able to spam rank 6s and rank 5s with this card. Even a card like Cyber-Stein, which I think this is one of the few exceptions in the game where you can actually say that maybe the counters actually kind of balance the card. Like, I've never been one to say, oh, counters could totally balance Chaos Emperor Dragon just because you can Solemn Warn it. That makes that card balance. Like, no. Like, you can't argue that like, you know, maybe Chaos Emperor Dragon should come back because you can affect Veiler it or because you can Solemn Strike it, etc. But the difference between like most cards in Cyber-Stein is if Cyber-Stein doesn't go off, you generally lose the game. Like, if you activate Cyber-Stein's effect and your opponent activates Dimensional Barrier or they activate Effect Veiler, you are so colossally fucked. You've given up 5,000 light points and your opponent can now kill you. Like what I said, they can make like a Utopia the Lightning. They can even make things like ABC Buster Dragon, ram it into this, and you're basically almost dead at that point. And even if you do use Cyber-Stein and you are able to successfully pull off the effect, like, you have to understand, since you can't commit any other monsters today, like you can't summon anything else from your extra deck, whatever that monster is that you put 5,000 life points into, whether it be Cyber and Dragon or an Interior Exterio, that monster basically has to get you home. Like, it has to basically be able to win you the game, because you can't summon like, okay, an Interior Exterio and then somehow get like you know, a Cyber Infinity Dragon plus like something else. Like, you only get that one monster unless you somehow already had like a link monster, but that doesn't seem that probable. But these are just some cards that I thought about, guys. You know, do you guys think that there are some cards on the ban list that have just been naturally nerfed, or we should say, I guess I should say, are going to get like massively nerfed because of the new rules? And do you guys think that Konami should consider bringing these cards back? Because these are the first two that I'm looking at and I'm like, yeah, these cards are kind of broken right now, especially you. But once we get those new rules, guys, I don't think that these cards will be so OP that they both couldn't come back at like limited status. I don't know if, you know, they should come back at like 3, but at limited status, I think that they'd be okay. So let me know what you guys think. Am I completely off my rocker, or do I have like a somewhat of a legitimate argument? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already.